Time is on my side. Yes, it is. What's up, guys? Sorry about that, first of all. Secondly, I'm coming to you with a little video to cover a topic that has been on my mind a lot recently as it relates to our organization and what we can do to improve, to be better employees, for me to be a better employer, and that is the topic of time. So I've parked over on the side of Johnston and Ridge at Time Plaza, maybe in an effort to let this sink in a little bit further, and maybe in the future as you guys pass Time Plaza, you'll think about some of the things that I want to talk about today. So why are we talking about time? Well, time, for me, time has become one of the most precious and valuable things in my life, in my work life, and my personal life overall. It's because time is the one thing that I can think of that I cannot buy, except maybe love, but I don't know. You could argue that some people have bought love, or at least some form of it. But anyway, time can't be purchased. We can't create it out of thin air. And so it's a very valuable resource. And so it begs the question, how are we using our time? Is it efficiently or not? Is there room for improvement? And there almost always is. And so a few quick examples of why time has proven to be valuable. I'll give you the case of a few companies. Number one, a very popular one right now is Uber. So Uber is like a taxi service on steroids. Why is it so popular? Why did it take hold so quickly? It's because Uber has given us some of our time back. Think of the alternative, at least for us here in Lafayette, prior to Uber. You called somebody for a ride. That was very inefficient. Maybe you had to wait on them for a while to come and get you. This is all assuming that you don't have your own transportation, say temporarily. You call a taxi. You know, a taxi in Lafayette's going to take 30, 45 minutes to get to you. So Uber has basically sold us some of our time back. 3 to 5 minutes, someone's at your door, and then they drop you right off at the front door of the location you want to be at. Another one would be Amazon. So Amazon has been extremely successful for a lot of reasons, one of which is they've made the buying process of items extremely simple and fast. You can find a lot of items from food to hardware to books, and you can get it very quickly within a couple clicks, and that thing is showing up on your door within your doorstep within a couple days. Email is a prime example of not a company, but a concept, a technology that exists that sold us back time. When I was 12, even 15 years old, 16 years old, there was no email available to me. So in order to communicate with people, we had to do it the old-fashioned way, which was put something in the mail, maybe make a phone call, which was not thorough enough in words. Maybe you didn't cover everything. You didn't have a record of it as a reference point to fall back on. So, and there's a host of others that we could name, but any company or technology that is faster, quicker, easier is extremely valuable in the market. It always has been, from probably the first tool that was created. But these things just illustrate the point that time is very valuable, and I think it's important for us to take our time seriously and value it as well as other people's time. And some of you that are close to me may have seen me at times, if my phone's ringing a lot or someone double calls me, how frustrated I'll get. And it's because it's an interruption of the time, my time, that I value greatly. And it's something that I've deemed to be unnecessary or inefficient. And so I have a very low tolerance for that in my life. Sometimes that can be unhealthy as well, whenever it's too much of an obsession. And that's something I have to work to balance out. The understanding of it is very important, I think, for all of us. Because ultimately at the end of the day, what do we have? We're going to wake up in the morning, and we have only so much time to get our job done, to generate revenue for ourselves, to spend with our family, maybe to exercise or partake in a hobby, whatever it is. We only have so much time. And so to me, it just makes a lot of sense. If I can get less done in a day of the things that I don't really want to do as much, and have more of that time to explore the things that I want to do, I'm winning. And that's the message I want to convey to you guys. So how do we logistically get this done? How do we become more efficient with our time? So one way to do that is, and one of the first steps is we have to take a conduct a self audit of our time. For me, I'll make a list of all of the tasks that are regular for me, the things that I'm doing a lot of: answering emails, handling questions from employees, working on creative marketing for the company. For a salesman, it might be going on quotes, working up the quotes, following up with customers, submitting paperwork. If you're out in the field doing work, it could be gathering supplies. You can even break down the steps you take whenever you're making a repair of, say, a lead jack, and determine what's the most efficient way to handle that. What tools you're bringing right whenever you get out of the truck. Sometimes it can seem a little micro, but you do this one time, and then it becomes a habit and a system, and it's easy, and it becomes second nature, and then you're basically buying back your time from that initial investment of creating the self audit. So the steps there is to create a running list of all of the things that are normal activities and frequent activities, and think about how you're doing them. So one example for me recently is I noticed that I was picking up my phone a lot, checking email all the time. And I started to think, I don't really have to know every 10 minutes if an email has come in. That's what text messages and phone calls are pretty much for. So by me picking up my phone all the time, taking my mind away from the task that it's on, and checking the email was very inefficient. It was clogging up my mind, and it was clogging up my time. So what did I do? I decided to make 2 time blocks for email, one at 6:30 in the morning and one at 2:30 in the afternoon. And that allows me to handle anything that comes along through the meat of the day at 2:30, and then anything that happens after that and someone's emailing, I'm catching them before the day starts the following day. Now I spend less than an hour receiving and answering emails, whereas it was easily probably double that prior to. So what you want to do is you make the list, you look at how you're accomplishing these tasks, and then try to poke holes in it, try to tear it apart and see if there's a better way. The second thing you can do in order to buy back some of your own time smartly is to use the tools and the resources that are available to us. So it's a very easy thing for me to do if I'm sitting in the office, to call out to Katie across the hall and ask her a question. I know that she knows the answer. I know that I can get that answer in maybe 7 or 8 seconds, but it may take me 10 or 11 seconds to actually Google it and find the answer, or look it up in our software system to find the answer. Maybe it takes me a little bit longer, but I'm not breaking her from her work whenever I do that. And so I'm creating more efficiency as a team within the company by not breaking her from her task, because as soon as I ask her the question, well, now she has to put down what she's doing, she has to answer this question, and then she has to resume her work, which sometimes takes a little longer to pick back up on. And so it's really a selfish move on my part to do that, or a thoughtless move on my part to do that. So we want to increase our awareness of other people's time as well, to try to not break them from the task unless we need to. We want to operate as a team. We want to count on each other and lean on each other, but we want to do it in a smart way whenever it's needed. So by doing these things, what we're essentially doing is we're creating more value in ourselves and in our work. So the person who can run the 100 meters in the Olympics in less time wins the gold medal. The person who is able to accomplish more in their day in less time, or in the same given time, creates more value for them as an employee. Whenever things get tight in a company, and an owner has to start thinking about maybe letting people go, the person who has become very efficient in their work is going to be one of the last ones that gets that pink slip. And so you're creating more value for yourself. I think about the quote a lot of times. I think it's Abraham Lincoln that it's attributed to. He said if he had 8 hours to cut down a tree, he would spend the first 6 sharpening his axe. So I picture two people. I picture Abraham Lincoln, and I picture someone else that is trying to chop down a tree. And you got this one guy with a dull axe, and he's just chopping at it all day long. At the end of the day, it's gonna fall. And you got Abe, old honest Abe, sitting on the side sharpening his axe for 6 hours, and then he spends 2 hours. But you got one guy at the end of the day who's fully exerted, he's whipped, he's got nothing left, blisters on his hands, his back is aching, and maybe he can't come to work the next day because of how he approached his task. And then you got honest Abe, who's waking up early the next morning, ready to go at it again. So a lot of information here, I realize, and I would encourage and challenge you guys to start to think more about your time in this way, in a more organized fashion, in a more efficient fashion, and see what you can do to improve your own efficiency. As a byproduct, the company will also run more efficiently, and you'll be creating more value in yourself. Until next time.